morning, I'm Pinky Webb. Tonight, we ask the questions, we tackle the issues, we clarify matters, and we get on point. The Justice Department is now investigating former President Rodrigo Duterte for possible criminal violations following his statements during the Senate and House hearings on extrajudicial killings. Among other things, Duterte admitted to ordering policemen to induce drug suspects to fight back so they can shoot and kill them. He also said he had gangsters killing other criminals. The former president also said he takes full responsibility for the actions of authorities involved in his anti-drug campaign.
This is through you.
He acknowledges that all the killing incidents during the war on drugs spring from his order to kill drug personalities. Considering your statement of taking full legal responsibility both to legal and illegal activities, can I equate this statement of yours to an extrajudicial confession of guilt?
Well, in a sense, yes. Wala na akong magawa eh.
Are you saying yes, Mr. President?
Yes, because I ordered the campaign against the drug syndicates. At kung anong ginawa nila, whether illegal or not, it was ako ang nag-utos. In that sense, I take that responsibility of their actions.
Meanwhile, Malacañang says the International Court is free to investigate Duterte, and if requests are made through Interpol, government must cooperate. Let's get on point with the Secretary of Justice, Jesus Crispin, Boying Remulla. Secretary Remulla, it's good to see you again. Thank you so much for coming to the studio.
Thank you. And it's good to be on a new set. I haven't been on a set for a long time.
I know. Much appreciated, Secretary. There's a lot to discuss, and I want to start with that because you said, I think it was last Monday, that the former President, Rodrigo Duterte, is currently being investigated for possible violations of Republic Act 9581 or the International Humanitarian Law. So, sir, what exactly is this and what does the investigation cover?
Republic Act 9851 is the law on international humanitarian law, genocide, and other violations of humanitarian law. And it's a legislation passed in 2009, almost 15 years to the day. Almost today. And it actually makes command responsibility an important part of criminal liability. Whereas our old penal laws made personal participation and personal responsibility the key to criminal liability. Now, command responsibility also figures in how a court may judge a person to be guilty of a crime. So the earlier clip about the president acknowledging that he actually executed an extrajudicial confession, ironically, can be very true.
Mm-hmm. Ibig sabihin, Secretary, because of this Republic Act 9851, is it 9851?
Yes.
Or 9581, itong ang international humanitarian law. Dito lang ho ba? Tama ho ba? Dito lang pumapasok ang command responsibility?
Dito lang talaga.
As compared to other possible violations?
Well, in administrative law, command responsibility is important. But in penal laws, it's really a personal responsibility. So it's the first time that a law actually made command responsibility an important part of jurisprudence, or maybe it will be a very important part of jurisprudence.
But why just now?
Well,
this law has been in existence since you said 2009.
Well, it's really the necessity of finding a law where criminal liability can be determined from the standpoint of an individual going against the state. because crimes against individuals is the one that the ICC handles. And that is also the convention where we agreed with the international community that we have to have a law that will support international humanitarian law. So it's a very new law because 75 years after the war, or maybe how many, 60 years after the war, World War II, or no, 70 years, no? We have a law which treats violence in its a very primitive form, actually.
No, I think what I'm trying to ask here, Secretary, is this international humanitarian law has been in existence since 2009.
Yes.
My question, sir, is, since you sat as Secretary of the DOJ, bakit ho ngayon lang gagamitin itong probe ng na gagamitin pang international humanitarian law?
We could have used it.
Why now?
With the MILF and with the BIFF, and we could have used it with the NPA. But the past dispensations were not very, very bullish on using this law for their own reasons. And it's really a new territory where you step into the dark, actually. But because it has been used by international tribunals, jurisprudence has sprung out of it already.
What about the timing by which the probe has begun, as you mentioned last Monday? Bakit ho nag-umpisa yung probe laban kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte noong Monday? What prompted
Hindi lang
it?
Monday yun. We started doing this around more than 2 weeks ago when we formed the task force. So it's been going on. We're looking at the possible crimes that were violated because we cannot ignore what's happening in the Quadcom. We have to pay attention to what the legislature is doing. And since people are very interested in what is happening in the legislature, we have to have our own answer to questions because we are the Department of Justice.
Okay. To put some premise in here, if I'm not mistaken, Secretary, sabi mo nga, hindi nag-umpisa yung probe nung Lunes, although you had mentioned it last Monday, but it
Yes.
started 2 weeks ago with, is this the Department Order 778 on EJK, the task
Yes,
force on
yes,
EJK?
it is, it
okay.
is.
So it's a task force now on EJK that is also now probing the former president.
Yes.
Okay. And the basis of which you're saying is revelations during the Quadcom.
Yes,
What about
yes.
the Senate?
Also the Senate, and of course the other revelations that came out before. But our system of our criminal justice system has always relied on personal responsibility. And as I always say, when there are no specific averments as to victim, there are no specific averments as to the time the crime was committed, as to the method of killing, we cannot just prefer responsibility to any person. It is a very personal responsibility. It's very personal, as Duterte would say, when he was being asked about criminal responsibility. But because of this law, it makes it possible to have a leader embrace the concept of command responsibility.
Implicated in this.
Like De La Rosa and the president himself,
So-
the former president.
That's what I wanted to ask you next. So the president is being investigated. What about, sir, because you're saying kung nanggagaling din naman po yung mga testimony or even documents possibly from the Quadcom or the Senate. What about Senator Bato de la Rosa and Senator Bongo?
We're collating documents and videos and statements made by them. Because definitely, when people's rights are violated, you really have to address the question. You cannot make it a guessing game. You have to address the question directly.
But are Senator Go and Senator de la Rosa currently being investigated?
Yes.
Also.
Senator Go, not so much yet, because he has been very wise in his ways. He has not been talking much. But Senator Bato actually has his own role in many of the things happening because he was the chief of the PNP when Oakland Double Barrel was rolled out.
So clearly right now, it's the former president and Senator Bato de la Rosa being investigated by the task force
Yes, and
on
of course
EJK.
a lot of other police personalities.
Opo.
Yes.
What were the most salient points you think? I mean, personally for you, doon po sa Quadcom hearing, that really may make a push or dent in this investigation towards the former president and Senator Bato de la Rosa, sir?
Well, the statement that there was a system of rewards, I think is very telling. That there was a
Reward system?
not just a reward system, but something that made everything more juicy and associated it with financial matters, financial rewards. And that itself is very reprehensible. You cannot reward people for wrong behavior. When you do that, then we're tolerating something very negative within our society.
Secretary, what about yung sinabi po ni Pangulo, which we had said earlier, no, that inutusan po niya
Actually,
na
I think the word is really incentivizing.
incentivize, yeah.
Incentivizing.
Yung kanina po sa reward
Yes,
system.
sa reward system.
And then over and above that, sir, was also the statement of the president where he said that inuudyukan po niya yung police, na udyukan yung suspect para lumaban, para matapos na po yung problema.
Well, that's
Is
part
that-
of the theatrics of President Duterte. You have to admire the guy, that he's very wily. He's a very wily lawyer, he's a very wily prosecutor. And you have to admire the guy. We have to be very careful about every step we take because you cannot take him for granted. He's got tons of experience when it comes to this.
What other points were telling for you? What were the salient points apart from the reward system, incentivizing? Ano pa po?
Well, the way that the police operated, I think, as a criminal organization, in so many ways, like.
Did you say the police operated as a criminal
Well, if you go to the
organization?
Barayuga case, if we are to believe all the statements, unless we are able to, of course, we are validating everything. When Garma tells a colonel to help her out with a problem, and that colonel was Leonardo, who was part of the NAPOLCOM, and then later on, and Leonardo got these people to participate in a crime to kill Barayuga. It's very disturbing. It's something that we have to address properly because it has already crept into the leadership of the PNP. We cannot allow this to happen. We have to really change a lot of ways by which the PNP operates. We cannot tolerate this.
I think also that's one of the statements made by your brother as the ILG chief, but I'll go to that a little later on. Let me just continue on with this, sir. What is the status of the investigation? I know it's been
Well,
just
we were
only
able
about 2
to get the
weeks.
cooperation of the wife of Barayuga. They've gone to the DOJ. They've told us about their misgivings about cooperating with certain police personalities.
Such as?
Some of the classes of the PMA who may have been involved, or either in helping or in covering up or in not helping, because they're supposed to be a close-knit group, and unfortunately, some people did not really behave according to expectations and just led to more disappointments among them. And what they really didn't like was the fact that some police people, some police personalities or officers were giving them affidavits to sign, even if these were not from their own words or not within their own
Ano po
belief
yung laman
system.
ng affidavits?
Well, something that you would expect from a person with an interest in the case, so that they will not be pointed to as suspects in the end or as having connived with anybody in the cover-up or whatever stage of the crime.
So what is their personal conviction right now? Are they going to...
Now they're raising the case. They just want the NBI to be the one to investigate and the DOJ to be straightforward about it, just use the NBI. And if the police will be there, just to gather the evidence, use the evidence gathered by the police and validate them properly, so that if it goes to trial, when it goes to trial, at least it can be reliable pieces of evidence that can pin down the masterminds and the perpetrators of the
Okay,
crime.
but they will pursue the case.
They will pursue the
Ang
case.
gusto lang po nila, NBI ang maging parang lead
Maging lead,
agency.
yes,
Hindi
yes,
po ang
yes.
PNP.
Yes.
For obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons.
That came out during the Quadcom. Very quickly though, now that there is this international humanitarian law, does that overlap, sir, in any way with the ICC?
Actually, it's the same law. The ICC uses the same law in investigating and in punishing these people. It's actually they are probably more like mirror images of each other. Our law and the ICC law, the laws by which the ICC operate. So there's no overlap. Of course, in the spirit of complementarity, you do not want to overlap because one will have exclusive jurisdiction over the other. And we don't want that to happen.
But is there going to be a problem knowing that there is, some sort of probe coming from the ICC, and then you have the Philippine government now, through, of course, the task force that you created 2 weeks ago, also looking into the same
The law anticipated
and
this. No, but the law anticipated this. In the Republic of
Who takes precedence?
our country will have the final say on whether or not to allow the International Tribunal to continue with the investigation and to stand second fiddle to it. We can do that.
Can you actually work together?
It is very possible. It's very possible. Even if we're not members of the ICC, in our law, we have to cooperate with international tribunals.
All right. We're going to take a very short break. Our discussion with the Secretary Boying Remulla. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. This is On Point. Welcome back. You're watching On Point. Still with us, Secretary Boying Remulla. Siguro, sir, I need to move to other topics now. So, my question is, if a case is filed against the former president here using the International Humanitarian Law 9851, and a case is also filed by the ICC and warrants the arrest warrant of the former president, of course, this is hypothetical, what happens, sir?
It's something that is still within our control because we will not file a case just like that without knowing where the ICC is. Because we do not want to exclude all possible remedies of people who are seeking redress for the crimes committed against them. It would not be fair just because of national pride to make people accept only the Philippine justice system. The international tribunals have a purpose because it actually applies very much to our country right now, given the legal infrastructure that's left behind and the way that we have to work out court trials, then we can have some doubts about how we can function in a system dominated by a legal infrastructure left behind by Duterte.
Sir, in simple terms, ang ibig ho sabihin ba nun na kahit na nag-iimbestiga tayo dito, maaaring i-turn over ang dating Pangulo? You would rather? Would that be a personal...
Hindi, ito yan eh. Kasi, ang pinaniniwalaan nating lahat dito ay gusto natin ng hustisya. Yung hustisya para sa lahat. Hindi lang pagka tayo Pilipino, kayang-kaya natin yan. We have to take a step back and say what is the best way for these people na humihingi ng hustisya
to get justice.
To get justice.
Opo. And what is the best way for you? Para po sa inyo?
For me, the best way is really to find the proper tribunal to do it. If we are the right tribunal, we will do it here. If our evidence here will hold, we will do it here. But aminin ko, siyempre, ahead ng ICC sa investigation.
Opo.
Nauna na sila eh. Using the same
Matagal
law.
na po.
Using
Opo.
the same law.
So, with that, saying that means what? Posible ho bang para po sa inyo, baka mas tama?
Mabigat na usapan yan. Usapin. Pero, pag-iisipan natin ng gusto, pag-uusapan ng gusto, at doon kami gagawa ng desisyon. Kung anong hantungan ng mahalaga para magkaroon ng hustisya itong mga biktima.
Okay, so that's still, basically it's still up in the air. But hindi, ang sinasabi niyo po, posible, you are also open that imbis na Pilipinas ay ICC na lang.
Actually, ang ICC nga pwede mag-file ng kaso sa Pilipinas kung naniniwala sila na makakakuha ng hustisya dito.
Okay.
Pati yun, kasama sa batas yan.
Alright.
Binibigay yan na alternatibo ng Republic Act 9851.
All right. Garma, see Colonel Garma, you mentioned her a while ago, sir. Now, what happened? She went to the States. I believe her entry point was San Francisco. During the hearing, sir, I do recall that she had mentioned that her visa was canceled, and yet there was an attempt. She actually made it there. Pinigilan po siya ng mga otoridad.
Sinabi na sa
doon.
kanya, nung nasa Japan, about to board the connecting flight to the US, na hindi na siya pwede pumunta na Amerika at na-cancel na yung visa niya. But because her passport and visa are contained in the same document, she was able to hold physical possession of the visa and of course, thought that there may be a chance for her to still fly out using the visa. Yun eh. Yun na naman totoo dun eh. Pero ayaw na siya kasi nga, may mga paraan ng Amerika upang awatin ang iyong pagpunta ron, katulad ng batas nga nila, yung Magnitsky Act, na pag meron kang human rights violation at meron kang money laundering,
Yeah.
pareho yung pwedeng awatin ng Amerika.
Which actually I heard you say,
Yeah.
human trafficking and money laundering.
No, hindi human trafficking, human rights violations.
Sorry, human rights and money laundering. I stand corrected, sir. Saan ho galing itong money laundering at human rights, sir? Violations?
Sa mga kaibigan natin na nag-oobserba doon sa Amerika, yun nga sinasabi nila. Kasi nga, yung human rights violations, may report na yan. Dumarating ang report na sa embassy ng Amerika. Ito namang money laundering, ito yung matagal ng suspetsa nga na nakabili ng bahay sa Hawaii, nakabili ng bahay sa California, at limpak-limpak na salapi ang inuuwi ni Colonel Garma noong panahon na yon, nung siya ay PCSO chairman.
When will she be returned, sir? What is the
Wala pa
status of that?
Humingi ako ng report nga sa ating embassy roon. Kaya lang, they will have to check out the records pa. Kasi hindi lang police yan eh. It's also border security, INS, kailangan malaman natin.
And where is she presently?
Sa Amerika, sa San Francisco.
Yeah.
Doon
But
siya nahuli.
detained where?
Doon na rin, sa San Francisco rin.
I see. And wala pa po. How long normally will that take before she's...
It can take, we cannot control the process. Kasi immigration law nila yan eh. Parang dito, pagka nahuli
Pero sir,
ang
hindi ho ba
immigrant,
pagka-
wala kang karapatan kasi eh.
Hindi ho ba pag canceled ang visa mo, ang pagkaalam ko, sir,
Deportation.
hindi ho ba babalik ka kaagad?
Kaya lang, kung
Oo.
meron kang you're being held for another cause, hahawakan ka nila.
Which you were saying are human rights violations and money laundering.
Yeah, tsaka yung money laundering kasi, meron silang interest na i-forfeit yung pera na yan.
I see.
I-forfeit yung property.
Kaya po naiiwan siya doon.
Oo.
Hindi siya ibinalik
Ayun
kaagad.
ang aking tingin. Wala pa tayong... Kasi, syempre, we cannot get all the information just like that. We have to source it properly. We have to go through channels. But we can already suppose, we can have educated guesses on how these things are happening.
And speaking of siguro personalities, sir, that have been abroad na hindi pa po na ibabalik dito, si dating Congressman Arnie Teves, what is the update there, sir?
Inihintay lang natin yung decision ng Court of Appeals ng Indonesia. Wala naman sila Supreme Court eh. Pero ginalang natin ang sistema nila ng batas. Nag-participate tayo sa sinabi nila na kailangang hiringin ulit ito. Ito yung nagkaroon ulit ng isa pang pagdinig sa Court of Appeals ng Timor-Leste. Kaya, yan, inihintay lang natin ang desisyon.
Are you, isn't this taking quite a long time, sir?
Ganun talaga kasi ang mga abogado, maraming paraan yan eh. Tsaka alam naman natin, minsan may corruption din.
Bantag, sir. Isasama ko na rin si Bantag.
Hindi. Hinahabol pa rin siya ng batas.
Hindi
naman
talaga
siya-
mahanap.
Andyan lang yan. Kaya lang, ayun nga, yung sinasabing Kingsmen, yung class of 96, kasama siya ron eh. Very influential ang kanilang klase dyan. Kaya nga kaya nga yung police reform, isa sa unang agenda namin yan nung umpisa pa lang eh. Nung unang pag-upo namin, kailangan talaga isaayos ang kapulisan natin. Hindi talaga pwede na ganito at ganito na lang ng lahat. Napakarami general, parang tayo ang naglilingkod sa kanila.
Which
Hindi
exactly,
pwede yun.
I was telling you, that is the parang mandate din po ng inyong kapatid.
Ay, pinag-uusapan namin
DILG
yan eh.
Secretary
Pinag-uusapan
John
namin
Vic
yan,
Remulla. Sir, quickly lang, yung foreigners that were caught in Bataan,
Yes.
doon sa Pogo doon, sir, ano na yung status nila?
Ang iniintay ko na mag-file ng tamang kaso ang PAOK. Kasi hindi naman kami pwedeng sumunod sa gusto ng lahat, sa gusto nila, na kasuhan ang tao na wala namang basihan. Ibigay nila yung base sa amin. Pag walang basihan para kasuhan, ba't namin kakasuhan? Kung walang kasalanan, ba't namin kakasuhan? Iayos nila. Iayos nila yung kanilang paggawa ng kaso laban sa mga tao
But
ito.
isn't the immigration violation, wouldn't that...
Wala nga immigration violation,
suffice?
lumalabas pa eh. Isa pa lang yung nahuli nilang wanted doon.
Yung
The rest,
Indonesian?
intact naman ang visa eh. Isa lang, yung Indonesian
But
lang.
weren't the rest of the visas, sir, because it was supposed to be POGO, yung kanilang working visa since October 15 was downgraded to a
Hindi
tourist?
nga tayo sigurado kung pogo yan eh. Wala sila nilalabas na pruweba. Yung kanilang warrant, na cyber warrant, wala pa lumalabas na resulta. Na pogo talaga yan.
That's what you're waiting for.
Oo, inintay natin yan.
I see.
Dapat may basihan lahat ng desisyon. Hindi naman tayo mag-iimbento ng kaso, nakakahiya naman sa taong bayan.
Pero hindi ba inutos na rin ni Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin na pabalikin na po
Yung
itong
mga may basihan na
foreigners?
pabalikin. Siyempre, lahat yan may basihan sa batas.
Okay.
Hindi pagkat inutos yan, gagawin mo na walang basihan sa batas.
So, I'm going to also, siguro as a last question, sir, no? Ito pong pag pinag-uusapan po POGO, of course, there's a mandate by the President until the end of the year. Kapag napag-uusapan din po ang POGO, lumalabas din po minsan, yung pangalan din ni Secretary John Vic Remulla, dahil po sa Island Cove na sinasabing pugad ng POGO. Sir, once and for all, can you explain?
Ang property na yan kasi, in-acquire ng father ko yan 1970 pa lang. Hinawakan niya 1970. 1976, ginawa niya resort yan. Tapos, nagkaroon ng problema economically, nagkaroon tayo ng mga crisis, sinarado yan, tapos binuksan namin ulit. Kaya lang, yan talaga, real estate play. Kung tutuusin mo, ano ba makukuha mo sa resort? 4 na buwan, 5 buwan sa isang taon, wala ka namang customer. Abonado ka. Ayan, pinagtiisan namin yan, magkakapatid. Kasama sa buhay yan eh. Kaya nung dumating ang pagkakataon na pwede na namin bitawan, binitawan namin ba? Mapakasakit sa kamay niya hawakan. Kaya masayang-masaya kami. 2018, na-conclude namin ang deal na yan. At sa totoo lang, ako nag-negotiate yan para mabayaran ng aming pamilya. Para dyan. Ang
So
dami
you
namin
don't
binayad
have
ng taxes dyan.
Hindi na po inyo yan since 2018.
Hindi
pero
na.
POGO,
Ang laki ng taxes na binigay namin dyan.
but is it POGO there, sir, sa Island Cove?
No, it was a Pogo. It became a Pogo hub. I was not even aware of Pogo hubs when I sold it. I was governor at that time.
All right. And anong status po niya? I know you're saying hindi niyo na po pag-aari
Hindi
niyan.
namin pag-aari.
pero,
Alam ko, nagsasarado na sila. Ayan, kaya ngayon, mag-i-inspection naman kami. So, mag-i-inspection naman ng immigration, mag-i-inspection ng PAOK. Kaya ngayong kami ng PAOK, kung kinakailangan hindi kami magsama para walang conflict, ginagawa namin yan. Kaya hindi ako sumasama sa mga activity ng PAOK kasi kinakailangan meron ka neutral person na tumitingin talaga sa ginagawa kung tama o mali.
Are you so far, as a last question, sir, happy, satisfied with the work of PAOK?
Oh, yes. Okay. 95% of their work has been satisfactory. Siyempre, may 5% laging problema.
All right. Secretary Boying Remulla, as I said, it's good to see you. You look well. Maraming salamat po sa
Thank you.
inyong oras. Thank you, sir. And that's On Point. Join us again tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. here on BNC, the Billionaire News Channel. I'm Pinky Webb. Thank you for watching.